welcome to another episode of the Quotes and Mirrors podcast. I am Tyrell James.
And I am Uncommonterry. Welcome. Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you too, man. Good to see you too.
Yo, I just noticed on the I guess the countdown. Did you notice like it's like snow, but it's going up versus falling down?
You said the countdown?
Yeah, it's like little. It looked like dandruff, which it's floating up instead of down. I haven't paid attention to it before, but all of a sudden today it looked like dandruff. I don't know. I think I'm in a mood. Might be. Ain't no telling.
You know what? I didn't pay attention to it.
All right, fine then. No worries.
Yeah, like I kind of, it's a decoy because I'm like doing something else.
Right.
That's the only reason I have to count down. I'm trying to do something else. So.
Who gets to see that, by the way? Do the viewers get to see that?
What, the viewers?
Yeah, do they see the countdown?
Oh yeah, watch this.
All right, I wasn't sure if they got to see it, so they would know what I was referencing. But nonetheless, welcome to another episode of Quotes and Mirrors. We'll start the show how we dang well please. All right. So, if you haven't seen the show before, haven't heard us before, we are Quotes and Mirrors. We do exactly what the name says. We're going to pick a quote. We're going to reflect on the quote. We go back and forth. It is my turn this week. So, you all will indulge me. How about that? This week, the quote is actually scrolling across the bottom of the screen. If you can't see it, or what you laughing at already? Somebody says something.
Josh, tell them why we late. Our bad, Josh. We here.
Yeah, you know what? We owe Josh, or at least I do. I owe Josh some support. All right, because he was showing up. Well, their show was on Wednesday, right?
Yeah. Hey, Josh. Let us know when the next show is. But until he does that, you can go ahead and do what you was doing.
Got you. All right. So the quote for the day is from Mr. Randy Alcorn. He's a stranger to me now. Probably be a stranger to me after this show. Save this actual quote. All right. But the quote is always, and I know that's going to be the pivotal word right there. It's always easier to avoid temptation than to resist it. All right. Always. We gonna see how.
Why would you go and throw that word in there?
It's debatable. There's a show about that, something like that.
That's debatable. I've heard of it. I've heard of that show.
Yeah, I feel no problem plugging them. They happen to be on Relic Media as well.
Exactly. Yep. Relic Media.
Oh, all right. I guess first things first. What's your initial response to this quote after you paused on always? You know what I
mean? I actually agree.
You agree that it's easier to avoid the temptation than to resist it?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
I do. So.
Okay. Always?
So. I think. Yeah, I do think that it is always easier to resist it, but
hold on. You said always easier to avoid it than to resist
it. I mean, my bad. Always easier to avoid it. I meant to say that. My bad.
You're gonna contradict yourself. Do it in 20 minutes from now.
No, right? Not too soon. Damn. All right, but I do believe that. If you want to know whether or not it's still a temptation, then you may need to put yourself in front of it.
Okay. Now that kind of goes in another direction, right? Because that don't make it harder, maybe just beneficial that you're able to resist it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as just always being easier, to me, what makes it difficult is if you have a temptation that is that severe of a situation, right? I guess that would be, we don't necessarily have to make it negative. Matter of fact, maybe I don't want to make it negative. Maybe if you're a girl watcher, right? All right, that sounded creepy. That's not what I meant. Like, like I meant like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't mean like, khakis, print button down, binoculars type girl watching, right? I meant like, if you're a cat that happens to appreciate an attractive woman, and essentially as you move about your day, you're drawn to that, right? That's a pretty unpredictable situation, right? You could just be going to Lowe's, you could be just going to get a haircut, you could be at the gas station. You know what I mean? So it would seem like it would be harder to avoid from that perspective, because that's a pretty, how do you predict that? How are you gonna,
Well, I think when I see that quote, what I think what he means is avoiding it as far as not purposely putting yourself in front of it.
I appreciate you, and I think I know what women mean when they say mansplaining after you just said what you said. Who don't know that he means not putting yourself in, stop it.
Nah, but what you just said, you were talking about, like, you're talking about an unavoidable situation. So I thought you were.
Is it unavoidable?
No, when you said you can't really avoid that, if you like in the grocery store, if you like you run to the store, whatever, you can't avoid it.
So then, given that scenario, wouldn't it be easier to resist it than it would be to avoid it? Which would mean that
okay.
always.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Okay, I misunderstood where you were going with that. I got you.
Yeah.
So, but in that instance, you said it would be easier to resist it.
Yeah, because you could at that point, then you actually kind of have the control once you encounter it to decide, not to actually give into it. But you can't really predict whether or not you're gonna run into, an eye-catching woman at any point, right? So always definitely doesn't. I mean, please, where's Josh at? Please say something. Jump in here, because always doesn't work right here. You know what I'm saying?
So, I mean, you can, if you see it, like, all right, if you in aisle 5, and then she walks down aisle 5, you may just need to run to aisle 6 to avoid aisle 6.
Aisle 6.
Yeah, that's what happens. If you in 5, you need to go to 6 to avoid sex. Because if you stay in aisle 5 with her in aisle 5, then it's going to turn into aisle 6.
Right there in the grocery store.
Right there by the cereal. Frosted Flakes just everywhere.
I hope not Frosted Flakes.
And that was a double entendre.
You're going to have to show, I'm sorry, you're going to have to point it out. What exactly is the Frosted Flakes thing?
No. I'm not. No. No. I'm being very disgusting right now. No.
Yeah, you are. You are. And I wanted to see just how inappropriate you was going to be, how inappropriately proud of yourself you were going to be.
Yeah, I am proud of myself. No.
That was disgusting.
No. I know.
But right there in the aisle, homie, I mean, you can't just get the number and make plans for later on. You got to go ahead and to the maximum PDA.
Listen, there's no better time than the present. That's going to be the quote when you're in the grocery store.
All right. Well, again, still that is. Hold on. No, I'm sorry. Let me back up. It's still, again, because you're still trying to avoid that. It's easier to resist it because you can't see it coming. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm not. I'm gonna let that one pass. That was too easy. I don't want the low hanging fruit. But so, but okay. So let's talk about resisting it then. Let's talk about resisting.
I mean, anything that you have an opportunity to take control of, I would imagine would be easier than anything that you never really. I mean, I guess I ain't gonna say you never. I mean, if you make it a point to, I don't know, go to an independent gas station way out in West Bubble. You know what I mean? It's just someplace that's less populated. But again, that still would take the greater effort than it would to just resist the situation when you encounter that.
But see, I think that the avoidance, I think that, I feel like when I say this, avoidance and resistance are going to start to run together. But going back to now, I did turn it into a joke, but going back to what I was saying about being in the aisle. So if you're in aisle 5 and you see her walking down aisle 5, avoid it. Like, just leave, get out of there, and go over to aisle 6 or go over to wherever until she's done in aisle 5, and then go back. Now, I can see how you could say that that's resistance, but I'm calling it avoidance because it's not in your face yet. It's not. She's not coming to you and trying to go ahead and lock something down with you in order for you to have to resist her advances, or for you to have to resist the urge to, to try to talk to her. So instead of putting yourself in that predicament, just leave. Just avoid it altogether.
So it's easier to run.
Yeah. Avoid.
No, let's say run.
Okay. Listen, it ain't my problem. I don't care. We can say that they're running. I ain't got the problem.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's easier for them to run.
All right. So I'm curious about this because, the reason I guess I really started to look this up initially is the question was, is it who's stronger, the person that chooses to avoid a circumstance or the person that can resist the circumstance, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and that's actually what I had that thought, I had that question in my mind, thinking like, who has the greater strength? Not that it necessarily has to be a competition, but I'm just curious what maybe even not who has the greatest strength, but maybe what takes the most strength, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I looked that up, then I came across this saying it's always easier to avoid than to resist. And I guess, yeah, I don't think it is, especially when it says always. That's definitely the pivotal point. Because I don't think, resisting the situation, I don't know, I'm fueled by it. You know what I mean? So avoiding it really doesn't give me any strength. I just, you just run. I don't I'm not getting better. You know what I mean? It's just, yo.
Yo, resistance though, being fueled by it, that sounds like a win-win situation because it's like either I'm going to be faced with it and I'm going to resist it, I win, or I'm going to give in, I win. It just sounds like a win-win.
Well, no, but see, no, you still talking about in the case of a woman in the grocery store getting down in aisle 5.
No. I'm not talking about just that. I'm talking about whatever it is.
Well, it wouldn't be a win-win. It wouldn't be a win-win in every situation because if you talk about a drug, I mean, high or not, it's still a detriment. Like you didn't win because you got high. That's for sure. Wait a second. Did you
listen? Because I know some cokeheads that this is a win-win for them. I'm telling you.
No.
Just
no. Wow. Cokeheads, you know some cokeheads? Do we need to talk about something else?
No, they good. Listen, you were going to find everything in my circle. Yeah, some cokeheads.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that because I definitely would consider that to be a win-win. But for me, I mean, in the I guess for everything, it is a temptation for me. Definitely, it is easier to resist. I think avoiding it. I mean, like it's not difficult to avoid, I guess, but it's like I don't know. There just isn't the benefit. So I get a kick out of being able to resist, out of being able to fight. That's easier for me. As a matter of fact, you know why this actually is kind of true then because I get a kick out of resisting it, I'm gonna go to it. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna avoid it at all, and it's pretty. it's pretty simple, man. I don't know, because once you kind of decided, what this reminds me of? Remember when what was it? Was it the Maryland house?
Mhm.
And we saw the guy with the two girls that was at the table. Yo, it was. I mean, it was much easier for me to just go. I don't know. I mean, I resisted acting a fool because I did. I mean, like, I won't say acting a fool, but whatever. It just reminds me, possible confrontation. You know what I mean? Because the guy's sitting at the table and there's two young ladies and we don't know who's with who. But you just, just ask the question. Had I avoided that, what's up?
No, we're gonna tell the whole story because see, everybody don't know. See, you just kind of I'm telling the whole story. We are at a rest stop. It's me and you standing next to each other, and I'm talking to somebody.
Right.
And I'm having this conversation, and then I turn to say something to you, and you're gone. Now, prior to this, I think we had already we had already seen the two women sitting over there with the guy.
Yeah.
And you had already said something about one of the women.
Yeah, one of the women, yeah.
And then I turned around and you're gone. You're over there with them. And I'm like, yeah, I told the person I was talking to, y'all be right back. This may be a fight. I got to now I got to go over there because you didn't decided to just walk up on. Yo, they both could have been his girls. Yo.
But the thing was,
and he wasn't the smallest dude. Yo, like,
but you gotta ask the question. You know what I mean? You gotta ask and it was easy to just ask the question. It was for me anyway. Because I guess, Shorty was nice. You know what I mean? So it was easier for me to just go ahead. And now, hold on, I guess easier to, what am I resisting? Yeah. So rather than avoiding it and all completely where there's no potential for incident altogether, that wasn't even the thought of my mind because it just wasn't any benefit in that. Right? Mm-hmm. But the resisting was me approaching it with some respect. Simple as that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it worked because when I got over there, I'm thinking I'm about to walk into a confrontation. My fists are balled up as I'm walking over there. And the closer I get, y'all are up there exchanging pleasantries.
That's it.
And it turned out there wasn't neither one of them with him.
See? So you just got to ask. But I mean, for me, it was definitely easier because had we just avoided the situation altogether, I'd have talked about that in the car. Like, yo, I should, and there ain't no turning around on 95s.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I guess, and I guess that's a bit of a caveat, if you will. But for me, because of like I don't get anything from avoiding it, so I don't know. Maybe it's just a different motivation that makes it easier for me. I benefit from the strength in the struggle, if you will. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't be always.
I'm the opposite. I have to avoid it. I have to avoid it.
So what can you be transparent? What would be a temptation for you?
Well, at this point, right now, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Mm-hmm.
Oreos. All right. I got this. I'm telling you right now. Yo, the way I feel about man, I walk in the kitchen, I'll be looking at them Oreos and they be I can hear them. Here he come. I walk up on them Oreos, I'll be looking them dead and I'm about to cheer that. About to ooh.
Okay, so but you don't resist. So you don't resist. You just give in altogether.
Yeah.
So that isn't even really. That's not even a temptation. It's a full on
relationship. That's what it is.
Yo, that's ridiculous. Especially, I mean, as a trainer, that's crazy. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure they appreciate your transparency, but
Yeah, well, but see, the thing is, because like I've had clients say, "Well, how is it?" Because they know I'll tell them, "Listen, I will get out of the bed and like now, not in the middle of the night, because I got a cutoff. Like I'm not going to do it past like 10:53, but it's 10:52." And they're like, "So, okay, that's not a good thing." Yeah, but you don't work out like I do either. So that's
well, hold
like
on a
I
second.
punish myself for certain decisions. I will go punish myself the next day, but the way that
Well,
I
hold
work
on,
out.
hold on. You got Oreos in the house.
Mm-hmm.
You keep Oreos in the house on a regular basis.
Yeah. Oreos and guns.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, it's always so. So, do you eat Oreos every day?
Nah, no. No.
Okay. So, if you don't eat Oreos every day,
Mm-hmm.
but you have them in the house,
Mm-hmm.
so okay, hold on. Let me also be clear. The days that you don't eat Oreos, is it because you don't have them in the house, or are they in the house and you just don't eat them?
Sometimes it's because I don't have them. Sometimes it's because actually, sometimes I'm resisting.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of
Sometimes I
getting to.
because so my biggest problem is when I do my edible, ironically, edibles give me the munchies. But
Nothing ironic. I believe historic would be the word.
So,
Go ahead.
but if I can fall asleep before, like, because my main reason for doing the edibles is for sleep and for pain.
Okay.
So because of my insomnia and my pain. So anyway, so if I can fall asleep before the munchies really kick in, then I'm good. Sometimes I would just lay there and I will talk to myself. I'm like, not tonight, Tyrell. Not tonight. We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it. Now sometimes it's like we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it. We're doing it. We're doing it. I was
All
being slick. I had to go grab something just now. That was my way of being slick.
All right, well, hold on though, because again, I guess we're still going back to always. But so so there are times when you have them in the house, but you don't eat them.
Yeah.
Okay, and so in that instance, avoiding it is completely off the table because it's in the house,
Right.
but you're resisting it,
Exactly.
and you find it difficult or what to do that.
Yeah. Sometimes some nights. Now there's some nights I don't even have the desire for them.
Okay, so again, see, it's that always thing. That's what I knew it was
Yeah.
gonna be.
Yeah.
That's what I knew it was gonna be. That always thing, because to make that blanket statement, I mean, that's you got to say that about a situation that is an absolute. Like I'm always black.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like no questions about that. But this always thing, that's definitely. I wish I could talk to Randy right now. But the always thing is definitely the issue because there are times when it is easier to avoid than it is to resist. But just plain and simple, always easier to avoid. I don't. Yeah. And going back to what I was saying in the beginning, the fact that you can't predict kind of the surroundings and what situations, what something may present. The temptation may come from just out the blue.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then
Ironically, the Oreo bag is blue. But continue.
I think hungrily is what you're striving for again.
No, greedily. Greedily. That's my
Greedily.
problem. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, Trish said, I think avoidance is a more powerful position to be in. Trish, I am so sick and tired of her being mature when she comments on this show. I don't know who this is.
Hold on a second. Avoidance is a more powerful position to be in.
Yeah. And I agree with her.
Okay. We kind of splintering, but it's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
But I
So
think it depends on the person though.
further you made it further conditional.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you why though. Because it's powerful for me to make the decision if I know that I'm not going to be able to resist the temptation, that it's more powerful of me to make the decision to not put myself in that position.
Okay.
But for you, because you know that you can be there and you can be right in the midst of it, and you won't be tempted, and you'll be able to walk away from it, then that's a more powerful position for you. So that's why I
Yeah.
said I think it really depends on the person.
Okay, I would agree with that because I mean now to avoid just a detrimental situation, like because you could be tempted, like in the way of like violence. You know what I mean? Somebody did something to your family, whatever. Obviously, it's better to avoid, you know, that situation because it could really go left. You know what I mean? But
Oh, you said it's if somebody did something to your family, it's better to avoid what
like
confronting that person.
yeah, because that could just really go left and really kind of with a little bit of insight, a little bit of foresight for that matter, that could really go bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
but that
so,
ain't temptation. That's street justice.
well, I mean, but it is temptation if you're trying anything essentially that you are trying to uh resist against its pull. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I'm not trying to resist that.
I mean, but you got to think, because like you said, street justice. You go to jail for street justice. You could easily go, you know.
I ain't talking about killing them.
No, you ain't got to. But I'm just saying, I'm just saying in that situation, in that it definitely is more powerful to avoid, just because it prevents a much bigger circumstance.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I know what you're saying.
yeah, but for like me deciding to stop drinking and then to be at a party where there's alcohol, I'm not going to avoid the party. And this might be a little arrogant, but I'm mad proud of myself to be in the midst of that, especially when I'm with cats that I used to drink with. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah,
And I just decide not to. Like that's super dope to me.
yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
empowering.
Yeah,
It really is.
that's
To
super
have
dope to me.
that type of willpower. I
So yeah, and
I
I'm not
don't.
sitting in the party rocking back and forth.
Going
I'm
to withdrawals.
concentrating on not drinking. I'm just not drinking. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah.
easier. And that's what I'm saying. That always thing is really kind of what I knew was going to be, the issue because um, avoiding it,
Hmm.
avoiding a party with like my crew or my family or whatever, well, not my family because family don't drink like that. But I'm just saying,
Right.
you know what I mean? But avoiding what would otherwise be a good time, like, yeah, it'd be easier for me to just go and not engage or not indulge. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Keena said it shows growth in a way to remove yourself.
what
So,
shows?
huh?
Okay. So now to remove yourself though is essentially a combination though, right? Because if you're removing yourself, then that means you're in it, right? So you're
Mhm.
resisting enough to avoid a circumstance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier when I was talking about leaving the aisle when the woman comes down the aisle. That's why I was saying this is where resistance and avoidance kind of come together.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's still that always thing. I'm sorry. So I disagree with this. I know we only about 25 minutes in. Um, but
30.
is it 30?
Yeah, or 29, but close
Oh,
enough to 30.
my clock say different on the side. That's fine
Oh.
if we disagree on the time as well.
Yeah.
but it's that always thing. Yeah, I can't get with that. It's definitely not always easier to avoid than it is to resist. Sometimes it's pretty simple to
And,
resist.
but you're saying that because sometimes it's unavoidable.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Right. And
Okay.
so it would take much more work for me to how cats be like they move different. You know what I mean? It would take much
Mhm.
more work to move in a way that I am having to be strategic so as not to encounter my temptation.
All right.
You know what I mean? That's gonna take
Yeah.
much work.
And that is tough. I've spoken to people who have tried to stop drinking alcohol, and there are parties that they don't go to, and they're typically around these same people at these same parties, and
Mhm.
but they're like, I can't go to the party, want to be tempted to drink. They don't go to bars, even at certain restaurants. they are. Somebody said one time they wanted to sit with their back to the bar.
Oh wow.
They didn't even want to see it. So I mean, yeah, man,
That's
it's
a, it's too much work.
I know, like, that's a lot of work. But I mean, when you're trying to kick something, man, you got to do what you got to do, and it's you know,
Yeah.
I get it because then, especially when we're talking about addiction, because now we're going past temptation, we're
Mhm.
talking about a disease.
Okay.
You talk.
I can't say I ever really understood clinically, if you will, addiction as a disease. Like,
Oh,
I mean, just because it's like, and again, we're splintering, but um, it just seems like given the right mindset, if you just decide, you can cure yourself of that. On the no under circumstance, can you do that?
yeah, well, that's because addiction is more of a um it's a what is the word that I'm looking for? It's it falls under the one of the mental health issues, something that is like clinically diagnosed. So for instance, like depression,
Yep.
or just having an imbalance, having that imbalanced chemical.
Hmm.
So it's the same thing. So it's not, for people who suffer from addiction, it's not so easy to just you can't just turn that off. Like, all right, I tell you what. So I have an addictive personality. So not full blown addiction. We have addiction on grandma's side of the family, but on
Hmm.
my daddy's side of the family, I got addiction real heavy. So I got that addictive gene coming from both ways, right?
Hmm.
So there's certain things, and actually going back to this to this quote, and I'm trying to be as transparent as I want to be because I don't want to be all the way transparent right now. But I'm trying to kind of tiptoe around certain things. Anyway, so I think the difference between a person who has an addictive personality and just full blown addiction, I have more control over it. I'm able to reel it back in. For instance, I was taking one time I had like these really, really bad, I've had these issues with my back, right?
Hmm.
So this was a long time ago. It was a while back. And I somebody gave me some Vicodin and
Okay.
I took that Vicodin and I was like, this feels good. Like it was like so apparently I had some back issues, but I completely forgot about that. I am on cloud nine right now, right? The next day I took some more Vicodin, but my back wasn't hurting. And then the next day, and I had a whole but they gave me this whole bottle of Vicodin, and I kept taking that. And when I ran out, I was like, I need to figure out where I can get this from. I got to figure out where I get this from. At that point, I'm abusing it. I didn't need it. But I could not stop taking it. So I was talking to people like, yo, you guys invite. I had friends that are nurses. I'm like, yo, can you give me some Vicodin? And
You was a
um,
crackhead.
for like 3 days, so it's like a 3 day crackhead. Yeah, it's
Sound
like
like it. Sound like you went on a little crack binge.
yeah. Well, actually, no, 3 days after I finished the pill. So collectively, let me see, how long was I a crackhead? Um, I don't remember, man. It was a while back,
I
but
don't expect you to remember entirely. You was a crackhead. So, but I did not know this part, by the way. And then let me back up because you say addictive personality.
Mhm.
So you mean you have a personality that is prone to addiction, essentially. Like you're
Yeah, like
more susceptible.
I will get I will get temporarily addicted to something, and then
Oh,
I'm able to reel it back in, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. And it's not one of them things where people, people like, man, I can stop whenever I want to. Nah, it ain't one of those.
Sounds
It's
like it.
yeah, but no, what happens is, all right, for instance, I'll give you an example, gambling.
Uh-huh.
So and it switches. It goes from one thing to the other to another, right? So at one point it was gambling.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm I'm at the casino and when all right, I'm done. I'm done. I ain't doing no more. I
Mm-hmm.
lied. Yeah, here I go, throwing more chips down, And then, but the problem was, at one point, I'm like I kept going to the casino. It's not like I'm on vacation. I just live close enough to a casino that I could just keep going. So I just
Okay.
kept going and I'm chasing that money. And then I was betting on sports. I was doing the horse races. Like I was just, and then after a while, it was like, Terrell, this is getting out of hand. Stop. And I
So
stopped.
so with that though, that definitely sounds like an issue where it was harder for you to avoid it than it is in the end for you to resist it. Because ultimately you still had the desire, you were just like, nah, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, had I just made the decision to not go to the casino, then I wouldn't have had to worry about trying to resist the temptation. So it's easier for me to not go to the casino. It's easier for me to not be in the same room with Vicodin. Oh, as a matter of fact, now if I have to go to the hospital for something like for pain, and you know how
Mm-hmm.
many injuries I've had,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Right.
So every time that I've gone to the hospital, I tell them, do not give me narcotics. Don't give them to me. I just avoid it. And I tell them straight up. And they're like for instance, they did it anyway. When I ruptured my Achilles, they gave it to me anyway. They gave me Vicodin. And I specifically told them, do not give me Vicodin. I said, I have abused it. Do not give me Vicodin. And they gave me Vicodin anyway. But
You all right though?
I mean, I'm good.
Just, I'm just checking in.
Yeah,
That's all. Just checking
I'm
in.
good. No, I'm great
So
now.
so I mean, it seems like we kind of keep circling back to the blurred line between avoid versus resist.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Which again, I mean, if there's an overlay, you know, that allows them to mesh. Again, this always thing. I knew it was gonna. I knew that was gonna be. I didn't even want to. That's why I sent you. Part of why I sent you the other quote. You know what I mean? Which no problem. We'll just look at in a
Right
couple
before
of minutes.
showtime.
Huh?
Right before showtime.
Yeah, because I had been thinking about it all day, and I told Mika this morning. Or was it last night? I think I might have told her. I was like, I think I need to find another one because this always thing, because we don't want to get on here and absolutely agree. If we end up in the same space at the end of the conversation, cool. But we don't want to just start off like that. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Hmm.
So, but that always thing is really kind of messes it up as far as not necessarily a debate, but as far as viewing it from separate perspectives. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, you would agree that this isn't always easier.
Yeah, just because sometimes it's unavoidable. Yeah. But but again, going back to what I was saying in the beginning, when he said this, I'm thinking that he's talking about purposely avoiding a situation, not an unavoidable situation.
Right, but purposely avoiding a situation again would cause you, depending on whatever the temptation is, would cause you to have to be strategic about how you move. Like, it seems to me that would be the more difficult thing. You have to kind of predict the possibility of running across this temptation and decide, okay, I can't go here now, I can't go here now, I can't go here. Instead of simply given, I would say over time you have to kind of develop the strength in order to resist. But um, once that's in place, then it doesn't really matter how you encounter it, when you encounter it, if you encounter it unexpectedly, it's easy.
But see, I think that that's where we disagree because I think that it can still be avoided. even in what you call an unavoidable situation, I think it can still be avoided. Like if I'm sitting at the bar watching the game, like so let's say I'm a crackhead. Okay. Let's say that I've been doing crack, right?
Right.
So I'm sitting at the bar watching the game and I'm cool, because I ain't got no crack on me. Okay.
Right.
And then somebody comes in there with some crack and they sit next to me and then they start smoking crack. It's now I need to get up and remove myself. I need to avoid that.
You're
I
also in
need
a
to
horrible bar.
hey,
All right.
listen.
you're
I don't
you're
I don't judge the places you go. Don't you judge where I go. All
you're
right.
you're in a horrible bar. If somebody could just come sit next to you and who smokes crack anymore? By the way, does anybody
Yeah.
even?
I had somebody come sit in my car and smoke crack one time.
Were you in the car?
Yes.
Are you
Yes.
talking about you?
No. I have never done crack. I have never done crack. No.
I'm just saying. It sounds like ultimately you'd be able to resist anyway. So
Yeah, no. I didn't know she was about to sit in the car. She said, nephew, I'm waiting on so and so. Can I come sit in the car? Like, yeah, come on, auntie. I just sat there because I was waiting on Boy Boy. I was waiting on Boy Boy to come up.
maybe slow down on the names.
Yeah, like they're going to find Boy Boy. So
I mean, there can't be but too many of them. You know what I mean? But so many of them. You know what I mean? Just saying.
but yeah, man, she sat down, she sat in the car, and I smelled to my turn. I said, auntie, come on, you can't do that. I'm sorry, nephew. I'm sorry. I think, come on, you can't smoke crack in my car. Come on now, don't do that.
Wow.
And then she got out,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right.
It wasn't one of our blood aunts, by the way. Okay, we just call
No.
her auntie because she's one of the aunties in the hood, But
well, I mean, given the story, I could safely assume that it was not.
I mean, I have some aunts.
Yeah, but we don't share them. I think that's what I knew. That I was secure. I'm securing that. You know what I mean?
No, we
But,
don't share those aunts. No.
yeah, but I mean I kind of see what you were saying when you say in an give the caveat of being in an unavoidable circumstance. But I think it's easier to just because I don't have to plan it. I just got it built in me, so it's cool. I don't have to, and even that, like I could just be me because I got that resistance. Versus, like you say, so you in the aisle, going back to the very beginning, you in the aisle, and she coming, and now I gotta run. I ain't even finished my shopping in this aisle.
Yes, you did. It's gonna be frosted flakes all over this aisle. I'm telling you.
Nobody wanted to recall that
Frosted flakes, and she's gonna have a frosted face. So I suggest
What
you
in the
get out
world?
of this aisle.
What are you? Jesus. I don't even know what to say to that. I do not want to go to the grocery store.
I got an inappropriate Fruit Loops joke, but I'm gonna let that one go.
I think you said it. Yeah. I think you said it, but I'm just, for me, and again, it may be something to develop over time, but it definitely isn't always. But more often than not, I would say for me, it's easier to resist than to change path and so on and so forth. Which again, still blurs the lines. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, but you know what? The thing is about you have a different type of strength. Also, you have a different type of strength and discipline.
okay, why you say?
Because you're able to. Well, I've just watched you over the years, so I know. But but in order for you to be able to be right there in the presence of something that could at one point was that tempting, and now it's easy for you to just walk away from it. I mean, that's just a different level of
You know what though? Once it's identified as wrong, though, like truly identified as wrong with detrimental, like period, like, and I can't see the pros of it, then that makes it pretty simple.
Yeah, but even with that, like, just the fact that you know from the beginning that it's wrong. Like, I've already identified the fact that it's wrong. I have created pros in this though, and I'm
Right.
choosing to overlook the fact that it's wrong.
But if you've created understand what I'm saying. Again, once I can't see the pros, regardless to how valid or legitimate,
Gotcha, but then it's no longer a temptation.
Well, no, it is still a temptation.
Why?
It is still
Because you only see it as negative now, so you're not going to be.
But I did. So I'm only responding to the cons, but I still understand the pros. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, but you don't desire them.
But I desire the thing. I just still, because like for instance, right now, I got a $10 bottle of scotch in my house. I guarantee you that joint is dope.
A $10 bottle?
I said 10. I meant $10. I meant 10-year. Jesus.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I meant 10-year.
I was about to be like, just pour it out. Like, what in the world? Why are we spending $10 on scotch?
That definitely speaks to how tired I actually am. Because I said that with like emphasis. I got a $10 bottle. Right. No. I meant a 10-year. Right? And I guarantee you that joint is dope. But like, I haven't thrown it out because it was a gift. You know what I mean? And I'm not to the point where I feel like it wouldn't be disrespectful. And to be honest with you, at some point, I may go ahead and crack it open. And, I just, it ain't like I'm going to drink it from the time I open it till it's gone. You know what I'm saying? Right. In that one sitting or anything like that. But, so I still have the desire. I just don't see how it would benefit me. Definitely not right now. Like, I benefit more from putting as many days between myself and the last time I had a drink than I do, you know what I mean, giving it or whatever. So it's still there, but I've just decided I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? So I still, and the cons are the cons, but that's just all. I kind of lean on that in order to give me the fuel to deny myself the pros, because it's gonna taste great. I know that. And it's gonna feel pretty good. I don't have to get drunk, but it's gonna feel pretty good. You know what I mean? And then definitely, I would end up in pretty good company, because I wouldn't just drink that by myself. You know what I mean? So,
I'll drink to that.
You're no help at all, just so you know.
Oh, my bad. You want help?
No, I'm fine.
Thank God. Thank God. I ain't got it.
No, I'm fine. No worries. But yeah, all right. Well, I think we can kind of go ahead and wrap that. I mean, we didn't 100% disagree or agree.
Right.
Honestly, more came out of it than I expected.
Yeah.
The always thing. But now I will say this: I am like, I'm listening to like, it's just us right now. Like, ain't no comments going on, ain't no steady flow and nothing like that. And that's kind of, I pay attention to stuff like that. I'm like, all right.
Well, it's a couple of them that I missed.
Yeah, but you know.
Yeah. Trish said addiction is not just mental; the physical aspect is the bigger challenge.
The physical.
And Keena, I don't know what you saying Ayo to, but it's probably something that I said. But the quote for next week. My bad. Were you about to say something else?
You mean while I was taking a sip of water?
Nah, before you start taking a sip of water.
No, just took a sip of water.
Oh, okay.
You all right?
Congratulations to your sip of water.
You all right though?
Huh?
You all right? Everything okay? Okay.
Yeah. The quote for next week. I ain't got it because we supposed to be doing this mashup show with Now That's Debatable.
Well, now did we just we decided that we definitely doing that with them?
Yeah, well, we decided. I guess we gotta talk. I mean, I think Josh is down. I got Josh, if you still here, chime in real quick. I don't know if he's still on though. But yeah, so we supposed to be doing the mashup show next week with Now That's Debatable. But if in the event we can't do that, my quote for next week would be, and if we end up doing the mashup show, then this quote will be for the following week.
Mm-hmm.
But the quote is what's your sign?
What?
Yeah, what's your sign? I know. Just trust me. Just trust me.
What? That's a quote?
Yeah. I mean, it's a question, but
okay.
We've had other quotes on here that were actual questions. So I mean, but yeah, that's what's your sign. I got a lot to say on that. So yeah.
That's gonna be interesting because I tell you what it does introduce an idea, in reference to maybe, I mean, I don't know that necessarily will be quotes, but I want to talk about stupid sayings.
Yo, I got a list of them. I hate it here. I swear I hate it here, yo. There's so many.
Yo, that's what I wonder. We might be able to get a couple, maybe a couple different episodes, but stuff because especially some of the slang that cats use, it just don't make any sense. Like, where did it come from? Why is it here? Why is it so popular? And I'm not gonna give an example. I just want to we should do that. Maybe in a couple of weeks, in a few weeks or whatever.
Yeah,
but I just definitely want to.
Yeah, because stuff is stupid.
Man.
Yeah, so we going, yeah.
Dude, I'll be like, what do you nothing. I can't stand it. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll go back and forth.
Clock that. That's
what?
That's one of them. That's so
hold on, you gotta do it with the hand motion?
I think I did it right. I think that's right. I
hope you did it wrong. I hope it doesn't sound like there's a right way to do that.
I'm pretty sure that this is it. Yeah, clock that. Yeah.
That looks like you got a like a tick of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It does. It does.
All right. Well, cool. So we look forward to we'll reach out to Josh. Josh didn't ping back in, did he?
Nah. He probably, Mercy probably got him running around that house.
Well, cool. We'll go ahead and confirm with them whether or not we're gonna do the mashup next week. If we do the mashup, are we gonna stay on the topic that he introduced in the chat?
So do you remember what that was? So we can let the viewers know.
Yeah, so it was a quote from Chris Rock saying that if you are a Black Christian, then you must have a short memory.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So if you're a Black Christian, you must have a short memory. And that's going to be interesting because both me and Uncommonterry are Christians, are Black Christians, and Josh and his
also a Black Christian.
Atheist.
He's not atheist.
Yeah.
He's not atheist.
He claims atheist.
I can't wait to get on the show so I can tell you, so I can give him his new title. I'm not gonna give it to him until we get on the show. I cannot wait. But yeah, that's what's happening next week. Hopefully, if not, then we're gonna talk about what's your sign, which is, I feel like, gonna introduce some ignorance as well. So
yeah. Who they attracted with that line? What's your name? What's your sign? As soon as he buy that wine, I just creep up from behind.
Is that
my
big?
Yeah, that was Biggie. That was Biggie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't a fan. I know I'm catching a little flack from that, but I wasn't.
I'm not going. I'm too tired to fight.
Cool. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this episode. We thank you all for viewing. We thank you all for listening. This is Quotes and Mirrors. I am Uncommonterry.
And I'm Tyrell James. And on that
He
note,
is not
and I
listening.
quote, peace out. What?
Peace.
Hold on. What happened?
I don't know. I don't know. It was a delay.
It probably was. We're gonna act like ain't nothing happened. I'm gonna hit this end button.
Go on.